Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. So sit back and relax or walk and listen and join me on this journey as we try to answer this never-ending question: what makes people say, why not? Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. So today's episode is all about training as we age. So this is relevant for anyone in their 20s, but how it'll stand to you as you get older as well, into your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. So I think it's very helpful for anyone who maybe is considered taking up weight training but think they're too old, or maybe if you're younger and you're like, there's no need for it. It's always good to have that in storage built up. Anyway, hope you enjoy. Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. So today, you may have seen the name of this episode, Too Old to Train ? And the question mark is the really big thing, because I think as we age, or if someone has never done kind of gym style training before a certain age, they kind of feel like it's too late, and at this point why bother starting, because you're too old. Now, there are some things to say when it comes to aging. Obviously, things may not work the way they used to. There is wear and tear in the joints and stuff like that. But it's not a case of if you start to train, you have to train for, you're in your 50s, your 60s maybe. Sometimes in even your 40s, people think they're too old to start. But I'm not saying necessarily train for a marathon, but some people do, or become a bodybuilder. But what I'm more talking about is getting into some form of exercise routine that can help you as you age, because I've spoken about this before, but as we age, after about 35, our muscles start kind of degenerating. It's called sarcopenia, and a great way to obviously fight against that is with resistance training, because it keeps your muscles kind of stronger. It stops the wastage, it slows it down, and as I said, that's from about 35. So it's never really too late, and it's never too early to start either. Another thing that I've spoken about before is, the resistance training does improve our bone density. It's particularly in women once they are through the menopause. It is very, very important, because we are more prone to getting the likes of osteopenia, which is the precursor to osteoporosis. And again, improving bone density, you need to do some form of resistance training or some form of impact. So the likes of walking will really, really help. So these are already reasons to start a training program. Now, obviously, you may already have the likes of osteopenia or maybe osteoporosis. If you're in osteopenia, you can always reverse it. Osteoporosis is a little bit harder, but you can safeguard yourself as much as you can. So don't think just because, I've already passed that point, I should just stop now. You're only letting your body get weaker. And the same thing, I know there's likelihoods of people having replacement knees, replacements, arthritis in certain joints. And again, it can be restrictive, but it has been shown that doing some form of resistance training can actually help support that joint. Now, obviously, there are forms of arthritis that are not going to be, rheumatoid arthritis may not be possible to help it, and obviously there's certain injuries, if you've got spinal injuries or nerve injuries, you probably won't be able to do much about that, but you can definitely help support the area by building muscle around it. And this is a thing people don't think of, because a lot of people think if they've hurt themselves in a certain way, just to rest it and maybe take painkillers until it calms down. And the thing is, it'll help get rid of the initial inflammation, but with everything, we do need to build it back up, or that kind of pain and weakness will always be there. And I know a lot of people who have back pain or other pains, whatever, their way to deal with it is through taking painkillers. In some situations, yes, that is going to be the only real option, because there's only so much you can do with training. But in a lot of situations, if you actually strengthen up the area, the pain will go away. Because I've spoken about this before. Stretching and massages, great, perfect, fabulous. They're lovely. They're a bit like your painkillers. They give you relief straight away, but unless you're doing something to support that area, everything's going to go back. So if you get a lovely back massage, everything's loosened out, fab, great, you're going to feel amazing. But if you don't do anything about that, the muscles are used to being in a certain way. So those tightnesses and knots are going to go back into it. That's why a lot of the time, if you go to a physio, they will give you exercises to work on that area, try and avoid that happening, and then keeping you less painful. So same thing as well, if this comes to going to a getting, like, say, if you've got a hip replacement or a knee replacement or like any of them, you will be given exercises to do and build them up over time. If you do them by the book and exactly like you've been told, you are going to come out the other side of that as fully functioning as you can. Obviously, there will always be things that you cannot do anymore because of certain movement. Like, if you have an operation, there will be some restrictions. But if you follow what the physios say, you will get as much of the mobility back and as much use of that as you can. If you don't do that, it's going to make the healing process longer. It's going to make the mobility worse. It's going to be way harder for you to live your best life. And this is actually a thing which people also don't realize, is if you do not use it, you will lose it. So people who, like, even younger people, it doesn't matter what age you are right now, if you sit down all day at a desk, you've probably some form of shoulder or back or something pain. And a lot of the time, the best way to remedy that is movement. Now, obviously, as well, as we get older, we aren't as active because you don't have to do as much, so you sit down more. Some things I've seen that, like, they seem great and handy and everything, but they're actually really bad for you, is those chairs that, like, sit you up out of the chair and lower you back down, right? Yeah, feels great, you don't have to get up and out of the chair, but what you are actually doing is you are starting to reduce your mobility more because you don't have to now do that. So while it's now easier to get out of the chair, it's actually going to be harder to do other things or sit into other chairs. Do you know what I mean? So while you're better off, like, it's nothing wrong with having a nice comfy seat, but you're better off keeping the ones that are not mobile, because then you will have less difficulty getting up and down out of other things. And that's one thing we really need to, like, I suppose, not take for granted, is your mobility, because the less you move, the stiffer you become. And anything we can do to, I suppose, in a say, make you work that little bit harder. I know you mightn't want to because, older and things are harder and stuff like that. But even as a young person, at any age, I think with this, we need to do that, because you need to think about, for instance, if you fell or if something like that happened, or you were stuck in a certain situation, could you get yourself up without using your hands? Or could you, could you roll over and sort yourself out? Or would you be able to maneuver around something? Or would you just be stuck because you're so used to having your chair put you up and put you down? So these are things, as I said, we have to think about at all ages. The same thing goes for young people. Like, can you get up and down without using your hands? Because, if you can't do that, what if you fell and broke your wrist and you were nowhere around you? No one was around you. What would you do then? How would you get up? And this sedentary lifestyle is not just for older people. It's something that's happening to younger people. They're getting stiffer. I think there is an over reliance. I don't on painkillers, to be honest with people. It is your easy fix. You see a lot of people just, oh, I just take 2 Nurofen or like Solpadeine or whatever. When, okay, fine, it does help, but it's never going to sort the issue. So if you are possibly, could be a person that does that, in order to be able to relax, maybe if you started doing a bit of exercise, you might notice that it no longer hurts. So I was talking to a client in the gym recently who is in their 60s, and she, now, to be fair, as I said, it doesn't have to be mad. She has been here a couple of months, lifting light enough weights, 2 kilos originally, now 4 kilos. So that's like, 4 pounds or 6 pounds. So it's not, or 8 pounds. It's not heavy, but it's heavy for her and it's exactly what she needs to help her quality of life, basically. And she was saying how, God, she can't believe that she can actually lift them now. Before, she never thought she would be able to. And before now, she had a lot of shoulder and neck pain before going to the gym, and she'd never gone to the gym before in her life. Like, this is her first time going to the gym, and she had a load of shoulder and neck pain. She would have to take kind of painkillers at night to help her sleep because everything hurt. And now, since she's been going to the gym, it's gradually gone away. Now, it's not going to be an overnight thing, but it's gradually gone away. And she was like, this is crazy. And all really what happened was that area was tense and weak, and it needed just a little bit of strengthening. And now, with just these simple exercises with light weights, I'm not asking people to do crazy weights, these are nice, small, manageable weights for them. She now no longer has the pain. And these are the things we're not thinking about. Yeah, obviously it's easier to take a painkiller, but a painkiller takes about 20 minutes, half an hour to work. So if in that time you're waiting for the painkiller, you could do a little small workout and you'd never have this issue. So I think it's something we need to think about, and it's definitely worth looking into. And again, I know I'm talking for older people coming to training, but like, if you're younger and you are struggling with something and it is a case where you are taking painkillers constantly to alleviate it, maybe you should try a bit of resistance training. And what I really want to emphasize when it comes to stuff like this is you don't have to become a bodybuilder in order to make a difference. So at when you're at a certain age, if you've never trained before, we're not going to start you lifting crazy weights and trying to get you to do burpees and all this. Everything with a good trainer will start at a pace that you can do. Can you do a little half an hour, a little bit of resistance training? Is that going to make you feel a little bit better? Absolutely. Will you be sore to start? Of course you will. Like with everything, we're always going to be a little bit sore the first week. You might realize that you have muscles in places that you never realized you had, but that's not a bad thing. It never is a bad thing. However, if you just push through that first week, you will find things will get a little bit easier, because I do find people who, have injuries or any issues that like constant chronic pain kind of issues, if they start something, they're very, very careful to be like, oh, no, no, I've this and this and this. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's totally fine. We can help you through that. Do not worry. I'm never going to try and get you to like do exactly what other people have been doing. But what we need to think about is you will probably be a little bit sore for that week. So don't give up. Keep going for a little bit longer. And it takes a couple of weeks to see the difference. Like the conversation I had with this client, she has been in the gym for going maybe 2, 3 times a week for maybe 2 months. But it's something she gradually noticed over time. And that's, I think, the thing. Like, you will probably still be in the same routines with other things. And then one day you'll be like, oh, wait, that doesn't hurt anymore. Oh, wow, climbing those stairs, I'm not gassed. Oh, that was easier to pick up. I carried the shopping in without even thinking about it. That was another thing that she mentioned. She said, like, she went into the shops and she can, like, walk back no bother with a few extra bits, like, that she never used to, I suppose, never used to be able to do, or she would find it a lot harder. And these are the things we need to aim for if we are going into training. It's not like doing resistance training or doing a little bit of that type of training is not about weight loss, where it is a lot of people think it is. Going to the gym is just about weight loss. This is about improving your quality of life and making just things a little bit easier, which makes a huge difference to how you enjoy yourself. And if you have to take a few less painkillers, would you not feel better? Would you, if you could go to the shops and grab stuff and walk back without having to use the car, would that not feel better? Or, if you had the grandkids were over and they wanted to play with you, would that not feel better? And like you don't even have to go to a gym to do these little workout plans. You can probably find a lot of stuff online if you are, plenty of people are using their iPads and stuff these days. So you can find stuff online. You can find little body weight workouts, beginner body weight workout. Look that up on YouTube. You will find a video that you can follow. It's a lot more simple. Um, you know, the thing is, you don't have to have mounds of equipment. You can also go join a gym and they'll give you a little starter program where you can use the fixed weights. You can join some classes. A lot of classes have different levels. I know the gym I'm in, we've all levels in our classes and we work with all ages, but we tailor exercises to the different levels. So some people might have a harder version of an exercise or even just use a heavier weight, whereas the people who would not be, say, comfortable doing that or not feel up to doing that, they have a simpler version. Or, like, we have plenty of people in our gym with different issues. Literally everyone under the sun. I have um people with knee replacements, we have people with back issues, we have people with shoulder problems, and we're able to adapt for every type of person. And any gym you go to should be able to do that. Maybe if you are still nervous, look for something that's specifically aimed at the age group that you are, because there are those kind of things where you will find groups that are specifically for a certain age group. And even if you are a younger person listening to this going, well, how do I start? It's literally the same thing. You go and you look at gyms and you can get a program done. I find a lot of the time people do that. They do the program for a month, get bored, and don't go. Where I find better is we have a semi private gym. You sign up on a monthly basis for classes. You have your class, you book in and go to your class. You see the same people, you have a bit of social time. We change the program every 6 weeks, so you know you have an idea of what you're coming into each week as well. So okay, this week we're doing this one, this one, and this one. Oh, I hate that day, because we always have a day that at least one person hates. Did the exercises for about 6 weeks, then we change them again, and everyone is starting almost from the start each time as well, so they know, okay, this week everyone's gonna hurt. So don't worry if you are finding it difficult or finding it tough. It should do be at the start. Also, if you join a class and you feel like you can keep up the first week, I always advise people, if it's your first day, take extra breaks. Do not feel like you have to keep up with the class. That's totally fine. And it can be very daunting going into a new environment. So if you have a friend who wants to join and start as well, maybe try and bring them. But again, you will likely find a lot of people who are similar to you, and you may not have met them before, but you will make new friends. And I think, as I said, that goes for all ages of anyone starting. I think with that, I'm going to leave you guys. I hope this was helpful. And I suppose I do say I have spoken mostly about people in their 60s, but at any age, do not feel you're too old to join a gym or start a workout routine, even if you're doing it at home, even if you're joining an online Pilates class or something like that, because it will really stand to you as you get older to keep mobility up. And there's so many things in life now to make things, I suppose, make us not have to move. And the less you move, the more issues you're going to come up with stiffness and pain. And you're stopping circulation, you're stopping the muscles being used the way they should be. So try to avoid them as much as you can. Where you can, walk to things, take the stairs. All these things, they're not weight loss things, they're things to keep you active and keep your body mobile, and help as well, avoid more health issues. The more mobile you are, the better you're setting yourself up for later life. Now, obviously, there are things that we cannot plan for, but just do your best with these things, I think. If you want to find me, you will find me on Instagram. It's Chrissy H Fit. I'm also on TikTok at Strong in the Saddle, and I'm on Instagram as well at strongthesaddle_. That is predominantly equestrian based fitness. If you do want to find out more about working with me either online or in person, you can contact me there, or my website, which is www.chrissyhawkins.com. I hope you found this helpful, and if you are someone who has been thinking about trying, this is your sign. Feel free, if you want to work with someone maybe online like me, where you don't have to go to a gym. I can do programs for all ages at home too, so do not think that you have to travel somewhere. If you want to chat to me about that, you can as well. But enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you found this podcast interesting and helpful. I really do appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast, so if you please could help me with the algorithm and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And even, if you want to reach out and suggest topics for me, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Drop me a DM on Instagram or TikTok, and thanks again for listening.